I want to talk to you about UCB, right?
Okay.
So where are you at with the selling and like, did you support that? Because you I think you undersold your relation to New York City UCB. Weren't you the head of training center at one point? And
I did.
maybe
I ran
artistic
the school
director
for a couple of years.
You ran the
I
school.
was never the artistic director.
But you did run the school for a while.
I ran the school, and I was one of the
early.
One of the OGs who was actively involved. So I had been around early and stayed around in a real big active way. So I was like, me, Shannon O'Neill, Chris Gethard had been there.
Seth Morris,
yeah. Gethard eventually kind of removed himself, moved on. But for a long time, Gethard was one of these guys. We didn't even have an official position all the time, but we were just around.
Right.
We were just like the old folks,
So what was your feeling when it sold? Did they talk to you guys about this? Did they give you any warning? You saw it coming, kind of, it sounds like. So
I saw it coming, but I got no official warning.
What was your feeling?
I was glad. I knew that the UCB4 were just not into it, and that the criticism had gotten so heated that either they were going to have to double down on getting involved and do a combination of pushing back and changing, some mixture. It was like evolve or die, and they chose to die.
Yeah.
And I was sort of like, I think that's a valid choice. They're old. We're all old. When they started UCB, they were in their late 20s and big-time popular improvisers.
Right.
And they started an improv theater, and it was young and exciting, and they were great at it.
Yeah.
And to their credit, it lasted a long time. It was a huge success.
Right.
And it was hugely influential, and a lot of their ideas became standard. And that they deserve credit for that and for picking really good people. And now they can't do that again when they're in their early 50s. That's not the time to start an exciting young theater.
No,
and it's
punk rock, no.
It's not, they can't do it. So it was coming to a breaking point. It was like hand it over to somebody else, or you yourselves have to change.
Yeah, get your hands dirty.
Yeah, and I think they started to get their I think they were considering that. And I think maybe if the pandemic hadn't happened, they might have done that.
Yeah.
But the pandemic and the financial pressure of that, I don't know for sure. I don't know what Buster would say, but it felt to me like that was like, oh, you know what? This is just the universe telling us it's time to get out.
Yeah. And I think that's fair. As somebody who was really close to the iOS thing, right? I worked at the bar at iOS.
Okay.
It's like these people are creatives. Their business acumen is not in their wheelhouse. And a lot of times they build something from that creativity, but it's just like at some point you can't rely on them to know the ins and out of business.
How did you feel when iOS closed?
We were very upset.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the full story, but
I don't really.
The landlord said, we're going to raise the rent. And rather than negotiate, Sharna said, okay, I'm going to close it. She was looking for an out. And that building, if you drive by, has never been filled since it closed 7 years ago. So she could have easily negotiated the rent.
Right. There wasn't
But she just folded because it was always
she
sort of
out.
She was always sort of the red-headed stepchild that she didn't want to deal with or put any effort in.
Yes.
But it's the same sort of thing, right? It's just poor business decisions that are adding up, and it's just making it difficult, and it's getting out of the scale of what it was meant to or built around.
Yeah, it was becoming a sad place for me, and I didn't like that. And when it sold, it was kind of like, well, this is a new beginning now. It's kind of like there's amnesty on all the old mistakes, and let's see what the new people do. And I'm sure that the new team will make mistakes, but it's kind of I'm also personally less emotionally invested, not in a bad way. I got no bad vibes with the new owners. I worked with Mike McAvoy as one of the new owners of UCB very briefly, a little bit on helping him get the second edition of the manual published because I had been helping the UCB4 coordinate revisions.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it sort of got interrupted by the pandemic, and so I helped McAvoy just get the new edition out. Wasn't that big a deal. I just some phone calls, some meetings. Who's the person who has the files? Where do we leave it out? What do we have to do? Stuff. And he seemed like a smart guy.
Yeah.
And he was on top of getting this book out, and he spent a little money to get some people involved to help get the graphics improved and changed and stuff. And I was like, okay, he's willing to spend a little money to get it finished. To me, that seems smart.
And I think they've largely acquiesced on a lot of the things, right? They got a diverse artistic director panel. They're paying performers now.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of the things that the masses were asking for. So they, I don't know whether or not any individual decision's going to stick or be impactful or whatever, but they're showing a willingness to try new things.
Right.
So
where are you at?
Smart.
Where are you at with improv? Are you still jazzed to perform? Are you more jazzed than ever to perform?
I'm more jazzed. The
really?
The pandemic online experience got me excited. I'm jazzed, but I like it in a small community. I don't like the big communities.
What do you mean by big community?
UCB, or
you consider
Second
that
City.
Okay.
Yeah, that's big.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like a big entity behind it, not necessarily a big audience.
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, just like thousands of students.
Right. So that's kind of why. Is that the vibe of a lot of the veterans? Is that why we're seeing more like Dynasty Typewriter or Largo shows and things like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think there's different reasons. Like, I think that I'm going to guess that nobody wants the vets are old and tired people, so they don't want to do a lot of shows no matter what. But they still want to do some shows because it's been a part of their lives for so long.
Yeah.
So your average veteran wants a monthly show. And they're lazy because all improvisers are lazy. So they don't want to work that hard for it. They want to show up to a big crowd, do a show. They wouldn't mind getting a little money for it. I bet you that's not even the main factor though for the veterans.
No.
And then just not have to worry about it and just do it with their friends once a month.
Yeah.
They're beyond the point when they want to win over an audience or learn new skills or they don't want to climb the mountain. They climbed already. They just want to enjoy being at the top of the mountain a little bit.